Good morning. Just want to do a really brief video here. Hopefully, uh, it's been brutally hot and humid the past few weeks, and so I haven't really been doing much. But what really brought this video along is I've been doing some trimming out of my garage and a little bit of the inside of the house, and I end up purchasing one of these fold-up portable workbenches here because I found that working on the really long boards in my garage at my regular workbench was just really a miserable experience. I wanted something I could move around, so on and so forth. And at the time when I was doing this, when I started it, at least the weather was nice. I wouldn't be able to work outside. And what it really dawned on me was the traditional workbench really, I'm sort of getting away from the whole concept of it. I mean, I like my bench and all, don't get me wrong. I made it right around 12 years ago now. It's a very traditional design. It's been a great bench for me, but it does take up a lot of space. And because I have to put it at the back of my garage in order for the people to be able, my wife to be able to park in here, it really limits its versatility. So I purchased one of these benches. This is the Works brand. I'm not here to hawk for any brand. I don't really care about that. There's others out there that I'm sure are just fine. There's really nothing particularly great about this. But I found, having used it for the past few weeks, or really, I shouldn't say that, I've really been doing much of it. It's been so brutally hot that having used it a few weeks back, I should say, to do a project, I found it to be pretty versatile. And what really dawned on me is get a couple of these, pop them together because they're modular, and you could really have a half decent workbench set up at your house without that it's portable, that it's collapsible, and it doesn't take up the space or the money that it costs to make a traditional bench. Once I'm done with this, you can fold it up. It takes up about the same space as a typical folding chair, and it has 3/4 inch dog holes. So regular workbench accessories do fit in it. But the real issue I've heard with these is you can't really do a lot of traditional woodworking with them, and maybe that's true to a certain extent, but to me a great idea would be put a couple of these together, get a plywood top and dog it right into the bench top, and then you can really do a lot of the things that a regular workbench would do and still have that collapsible feature. This is a cutoff from one of the trim boards I was using, and this is a shorter one. I'm using the included dogs that come with the workbench, which are okay, they're nothing special, but it's no problem cleaning. Just what I had to do when I was doing the trim was I would have ripped it down with a table saw, so I had to plane off the edges, and of course, like having used a regular workbench, traditional workbench for so long, I didn't think that this could handle it because it's and this floor is uneven too. I was actually working outside on my lawn, which is obviously going to be uneven. Point being, though, it worked just fine. I don't think you're going to be prepping stock from raw sawn stock with a plane on this without modifying it. Like I said, like maybe with a plywood top, but I don't do that anyway. And like here, for example, like here's a traditional bench hook, and I mean, once again, the bench hook works just fine on this. So there's no, you can use traditional appliances on stuff like this and not have to go through, compromise too much, is what I mean. So, yeah. Once again, I'm not hawking for this brand. It's the works. I guess this. But I'm just telling you that for clarity's sake. They don't pay me. I don't work for them. And as I said, there's other brands out there that I'm sure will do a similar job to this. It's not great. These clamps are okay. They're nothing special. The bench top is I like the bench top. It's solid, and it really sticks to the ground pretty nicely, even on my garage floor, which is uneven in this spot at least. But the point on all this being, you can, without falling into the I need a traditional workbench, you can do traditional woodworking if you want to do that by using products like this that are going to really save you money and space, which is really, to me, even more important. Space is a premium in my house and a lot of people's houses, I'm assuming. And it's just not easy to find that space sometimes. And especially when you want to do all of those traditional things. And another nice thing about this too is that I was able to clamp my miter saw, I have a sliding miter saw that I keep in my tool shed. I was able to clamp that to this, work off of it just great. Clamp my router table to it. Not that I use the router table, I haven't used it in years actually, but just to see how it would work, and it worked just fine. So there's a lot of things you can do with a tool like, or a workbench like this, that you might not necessarily be able to do with a traditional bench like the one behind me here. And mainly the ability to work with this. It weighs about 30 pounds, so it's really light for light for the amount of load it can bear. It says here that when it's in its saw bench form, that's another thing. You could fold these legs down and turn it into a sawhorse just by adding 2x4s to these slots. But in that configuration, it has a max weight of 1,000 pounds. This setup that it's in right now, it has a max configuration of 300. So plenty of weight there, bearability there, I mean. And it's portable. It collapses. I can't stress that enough. I'm really just at the point in my life where that type of functionality is more important to me than anything else. The ability to work where I need to work, and then when I'm done, close it up, stuff it into a corner. Speaking of the point in my life, I just had a few weeks back. I just had a milestone birthday that I'm not even going to say the number out loud because it's so depressing. But yeah. Consider one of these if you're in the market for a workbench, not just a woodworking bench, but a workbench in general, where space and money might be a constraint, including tax. I think I paid around, it was just under $140 for this. So two of them, you're under $300, and you have a pretty decent sized workstation that's fairly solid. I think it's 32 inches high, which I wish it was a little bit higher. So yeah, it's 32 inches. I'm just under 6 feet tall. So I prefer a bench maybe 34, 35 inches, even a little higher than that really. 35 inches probably be my ideal, but I could certainly live with this. So it's my point in all this is don't fall in the trap of thinking you need a 300-pound workbench like the one behind me here, nearly 300. Now, I actually did some calculations. I made the bench with 8 2x6s for the leg assemblies, one 2x10 for the stretchers, and the bottom shelf is 3 2x4s for the slats and for the supports. And then the top is a 24-inch wide by 72-inch long edge glued panels sandwiched together. And then there's sort of pseudo 2x4 breadboard ends. And I was able to get a rough calculation of the weight of the bench, and it's rated around 240, 250 pounds of wood. And then all the stuff on it jacks that weight up to well over 300 pounds, the stuff underneath it, I mean. So yeah, this bench is not being moved to the center of the garage when I need it to move, or it's just not happening. This here can do that. It can go out into my driveway. It can go out into my lawn if I want to work under the shade of the trees. So there's a lot of really options when you have portable workstations like this that also allow you to do a good amount of the traditional woodworking tasks that you might enjoy doing, like hand planing, chopping your mortises, sawing your tenons, all that. You can do that on this bench just as easily as you can on there in most regards. The one place where I said is where you might struggle is probably, without modifying this, I mean, is prepping a board. If you have like rough lumber, if you're trying to prep it down to finished wood, you probably would need to add a plywood top and some regular dogs and stuff. I haven't tried to do that with this bench yet. As I said, it does have 3/4-inch dog holes. So it might work just fine, but I haven't tried it. In that sense, I'd like to have a wood sub base or wood sub table, or over table, I mean, for certain things, like maybe chopping mortises or whatever. Things I don't really do much of anymore, to be honest. But you could clamp. I haven't tried this yet either, but I would assume if I wanted to saw dovetails, I would just clamp this thing. I'm trying to work one-handed here. I would just clamp this up, just like I would a regular board. And that should be, I'd probably use the dogs actually, but it should be just fine for doing trying with the dogs. But as I said, this should work just fine if you're sawing your dovetails or your tenons. That's pretty sturdy. I don't want to saw on this board. I actually need it. I need to rip off a piece of it to finish up something. But once again, the point is, don't get old. That's part one. Part two is a bench like this might work for you. So, and at the cost, it's not overly expensive. Maybe give it a try if you're finding yourself in a situation where you have money and space constraints. So I really hope this helped, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.